All right, guys, what is going on? It is Spherical here. We are back with the Seven Deadly Sins, and oh my, how the mighty have fallen. This season, after taking a week break, giving it a bit of thought, this season really, really has devolved, or this show really has devolved into a really unfortunate train wreck that I feel like, in my opinion, this episode is really going to be the last straw for a lot of people. Again, a week off, new opening, new arc, presumably for a new core. They kind of have a blank slate here. And again, it seems like I would assume this episode is going to be largely devoted to Meliodas versus Escanor, which we're not even going to talk about last episode. So again, I feel like this is going to be a moment here. It's going to be a big moment for the show's sake. And one thing I want to clarify from last discussion that I mentioned, just because I noticed it when editing, and it's not something that I meant to say. I said not to blame the studio for what's happening with the show right now. That's not at all what I meant to say. I meant to say don't blame the animators for what's happening right now, because it's absolutely not their fault. Unfortunately, this is just a prime example of the problems with the anime industry. This season was just set up to fail from the beginning. Original studio jumps out in less than a year away from when it's supposed to air. Everyone's scrambling, trying to figure out what the fuck's gonna happen. Studio Dean's like, all right, we'll take this on, but they're already full. Everyone's booked up years in advance in the anime in the studio world. So I didn't even realize this till recently, but they actually outsourced this season to a whole nother studio, like a whole minor branch studio to animate. It's fucked. And again, it sucks. It's all about deadlines and stuff like that. I really think this season should not have happened this year. Maybe it shouldn't have happened next year. It should have just been scrapped the second A1 jumped out, but here we are. So I just wanted to clarify that from last week. You can blame Studio Dean. First of all, because, Dean, people already hate them anyways, which, they're not great, I'll admit. I think the only, great shows that they've done is Konosuba. But, outside of that, they did Sakamoto, which I kind of enjoyed. I know a lot of people thought it was, meh. It was kind of mid. We've also done, what's that show called? When They Cry. I don't know if that's good or not, but this... yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you can blame the studio. It's okay. But yeah. Again, at the end of the day, though, of course, I will be watching to see how things improve or decline. But of course, that's not my number one priority. My number one priority is the story and what's happening, and just the music and all of that. So, I will try to put all that behind, but unfortunately, it's kind of hard to. Last episode got a 2-point-something rating on IMDb, which is that's bad. That is bad. People are not happy right now. And I do strongly believe, again, I said this so many times in 2019, One Punch Man Season 2 was good. People thought it was a train wreck. It was absolutely not. My Hero Academia Season 4. People are like, oh, their Studio Bones is ruining My Hero Academia. They're not. It's fine. Seven Deadly Sins... this season is ruining the show. It really is. There's only one other anime that I think has gotten this level of bad treatment before, and this is kind of the anime that I would point at as just the worst sequel treatment I've ever seen, is Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul Season 2 started to mess things up, then Tokyo Ghoul said, you know what, let's just drive this series into the dirt, and everybody stopped watching. Of course, I do think it'll get a remake at some point with how critically acclaimed the manga is, but they drove the anime series into its fucking tomb. So, we'll see how this progresses. Yeah, I'm ready to get into the episode. Don't want to sour the recording or anything. I just wanted to bring that up because, yeah, shit has really gone downhill over the past couple weeks with this show in particular. But yeah, going back to the fight, Meliodas and Escanor. I want to say Meliodas kind of has the upper hand right now, but it's hard to say. We haven't seen Meliodas in this form before, so I don't know. I could see this fight going either way. This is a big moment, though. This is literally to decide who the strongest member of the Seven Deadly Sins is. Like, at the end of the day, that's what this comes down to. So I'm excited to see how this plays out here. I'm guessing it'll probably end this episode. Yeah, again, very excited for the new opening. They have a good band behind it. Did they announce a new ending too? They probably did. Again, for me, honestly, the best part of the first half of this season was the opening. I loved it so much. I think it was my favorite opening from last year. So if we get a good opening today, then it'll raise my spirits by quite a bit. So anyways, as always, the link's at the top of the description. It'll take you to Vimeo. You can watch the reaction or highlight there and then head back here afterwards for the post-episode discussion. With that out of the way, let's get into the episode. Alrighty, that was episode number 13 of season 3 of the 7 Deadly Sins. I don't really know what to say. Escanor won the fight, which I fully expected Meliodas to. Escanor showed again why he's the boss of this show. And the animation it felt a lot more conservative this episode. There wasn't a whole lot of fast-moving things, which is what made last episode look so bad at the end. So, I mean, in that respect, it was better, but it also really wasn't, because it was just a lot of they just didn't do a whole lot of motion in general, you know what I mean? So yeah, nothing really to say there. Meliodas or Escanor's power level was 114k. That was before the sun hit its peak. And Meliodas was at 142k. So I'm guessing Escanor was higher than 142k at the end there. But again, they're both out now. Meliodas is still like turning into a demon or reverting to his past self. Escanor is just out right now. Merlin's trying to help them both. Ban's in his depression state. We only have King, Deanne, and Gowther who are like able, like they're ready to go. So that's not good. Arthur has been taking refuge underneath Camelot almost. They're kind of on the outskirts underground. He's got, a lot of the citizens there, the ones that I guess he could gather up. He's also got Nanashi as his master, who is the katana dude that we saw in the festival from last season. Oh, going back to Escanor, the one, that was awesome. He had like a whole different voice and everything going on in that scene too, and the aura, it looked so cool. That was so badass. I love that. So at this point, again, second core, it seems like we're setting up for more of a direct confrontation, because up till now, this season has mostly been the 7 Deadly Sins have been kind of leading this rebellion, but the 10 Commandments they don't really care too much about the 7 Deadly Sins. They just see them as like this annoyance, and they'll deal with them if they have to. But now, Zeldris has gotten a direct order to take Meliodas back. So I think things are going to get a lot more direct here, as the 10 Commandments now are specifically going to be after Meliodas, which is not a good thing right now, because Meliodas is not in any position to protect himself. So Arthur thinks he has a chance in taking back Camelot if he can get Excalibur. I'm not sure, obviously, like, King Arthur and Excalibur, like, that's just how it is. Like, if he gets Excalibur, like, I'm not sure what it'll do, but it'll make his character whole, and it'll give him some type of power boost. I don't know what it'll do, but there's no, you can't have an Arthur without Excalibur, right? So, but like, Zeldris is there. Zeldris literally can borrow the power of the Demon King. How do you beat that? I don't know. But maybe Zeldris will move out to try and capture Meliodas, and that will leave Camelot open for Arthur and gang to take it. Maybe not. I don't know if Zeldris would go for Meliodas specifically. He's probably just going to send the others to do his bidding. Also, it seemed like Zeldris was a little bit annoyed that he had to go get Meliodas back. Maybe he feels like he should be the rightful king now that Meliodas has already betrayed everybody. But it seems like it just kind of chose Meliodas in a way. Um, but I wonder if maybe like there'll be something where Zeldris maybe tries to betray the king because he doesn't want to save Meliodas. I don't know why he would do that, but he just seemed very like he seemed mildly annoyed at the fact that he had to go rescue Meliodas. So I don't know, maybe something will happen there, some infighting. That would definitely help out the good side, that's for sure. The new opening. The opening was definitely one of those openings where if I wasn't watching it with you guys, I'd probably skip it. It's I don't know. It's not bad. In fact, I would argue that the animation in the opening was actually really good at some points. Like the Escanor shot. There was also some really, very meh points in the opening that looked kind of average. But I don't think the opening was bad by any means. It just I didn't really vibe with the song too much, and it definitely is one that if I were watching on my own, I'd probably skip because it just doesn't click. An opening kind of has to click, and this one didn't. And maybe it's a me thing. Maybe it's just the song wasn't. It didn't really have any oomph to it. It was one of those songs where like it just kind of like it starts. It's at this point. It starts and it just kind of stays there the entire opening. Whereas like I feel like a song for an opening is supposed to kind of start here and it goes up and up and up and up and up and it just gets more hype, or depending on what you're going for with the opening, if it's a hype opening, if it's a sad one, what I mean, most opening, the weird thing with anime is most openings are hype as shit no matter what the show is. Like it could be a comedy show. Like look at Daily Lives of High School Boys. That opening is hype as shit, and the show is not hype at all. It's hilarious, but it's not hype. I feel like every opening just is hype nowadays. This opening definitely didn't feel too hype. It was just kind of like a song where it's like, yeah, we're vibing. That's it. The ending, voice crack. The ending, I liked. I vibed with it. Not much else to say there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. I don't know where we're going now, but looking forward to see what's next. Again, I don't want all the discussion about the bad animation to kind of hamper, what people think I think about the show. I'm still excited week to week, and I will be sticking with this, at least until this season's over. Again, my main concern is what's going to happen after this season. And the reason why I say that actually is my biggest concern with this is that they will make another season and continue just the way they've been going with this season, and it'll just devolve into this again, same thing that Tokyo Ghoul redid. They really needed to just end it after the first season because everybody dropped it, nobody was watching it anymore, and yet they continued onwards, which I mean I respect it, but there's just no point. You have to like accept your loss at some point. I really hope they just unless they take like a couple years of break, or they go back to A1, or they find a different studio, or they need to figure something out. If they don't, and this stays with Studio Dean and the season comes back like next year or something, I will be severely disappointed, because that can't happen. Because they will run this show into the ground. If I mark my words, if this show comes back next season, same studio, not that much of a break, and the signs are pointing to a bad production schedule again, nobody will watch it. There will be very few people still watching the show at that point. So that's my biggest concern with a future season. Not that it won't happen, but that they will that it will happen, but it'll happen in the same manner that this season happened. Of course, though, I mean, it's not like this season came out. Well, when did last season come out? I'm actually like, was it last year? Or was it a year ago or 2 years ago? It did air 1 year before this. So all I'm saying is if they come back with like an end of 2020 or an early 2021 Seven Deadly Sins season that's animated by Studio Dean, people are not going to be interested in watching it. I'm just saying straight up. But the problem is, this is the big problem here, it's the anime industry. If it's going to happen, they're going to do it. It's just how it is. I feel like shows aren't delayed often enough, and it sucks because when shows are delayed, people complain, right? And I get it, right? You have a release date, everyone's excited, and then they delay it because of something, and everyone's upset. But I feel like at the end of the day, no matter how upset you are about a show being delayed, it's always quality over anything else. And that's just what I want with this show. Although again, I'm a little bit concerned, not just with this season, but about what's going to happen in the future. So anyways, I'm going to leave it off here. As always, if you guys want early access and or the full-length version to these reactions, you can click that link down in the description. It'll take you to patreon.com/sphericalfilms, so you can check that out there. But with all that out of the way, I do thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys all 1 week from today with episode number 14 of season 3. Until then, peace out.